The Damhill Stadium all set to welcome 46 men with championship destiny in their hands. Not quite home for these Watsonians players and supporters. They're only a few miles down the road from Myerside. Much further jaunts for Ayrshire Bulls, but they have come in their numbers. 6 buses, we're told, have made the journey east. Plenty more who wanted a seat on those coaches who've had to make their own arrangements. And plenty of these men will hope to be playing at the great stadium in the background one day. Perhaps won't be too long for some of them. Blair McPherson, poised. He got his hands on the trophy last season, and he will be desperate to cling on to that silverware at the forefront of a mighty Bulls pack. Again, one of the standout performers in the championship this season, again near the very summit of the try-scoring charts. Here we go.
Your teams from the FOSROC Super6 Final, Watsonians and Ayrshire Bulls.
The teams taking the field side by side, but at some point today something will give. One will usurp the other, and somebody will claim the victory. The Bulls adopting their traditional pre-match huddle. Watch your feet, young man. Blair McPherson issuing the final instructions, the final words of steely motivation, as the two big boys in the FOSROC Super6 prepare to lock horns. Ian Kenny is our referee today, one of the most experienced officials on the Super6 circuit, and no surprise that he has been given the whistle for the showpiece game.
Watson's ready.
Will be Ayrshire Bulls in the pink and black, and Richie Simpson to get the final going as the Super6 reaches its crescendo. It is a day to stand up and be counted, and an opportunity to clinch some precious and new silverware. Perhaps catch the eye of a professional coach or two as well. James Malcolm back from his exploits stateside. He's playing with the Seattle Seawolves in the MLR. Now with the Ayrshire Bulls, and he finds Bloodworth back in the team today. Little niggle that kept him out of the turgid semi-final win over Boroughmuir.
Don't change your bind now, Watson's free.
Lanack digs it out. Steer it into McPherson. So often the ball carrying option of first phase. Bloodworth again, upended. Simpson at the back to Caven. 10 tries this season for the marauding winger. Lanack stabs that one in behind. Guthrie and Coates are covering. Tom Coates has been in very good form in recent weeks, and off he goes on a little tiptoe down the touchline. Opportunity now for Watsonians to get hands on ball for the first time. Rory Brand, the former London Irish scrum half, back in the team this weekend. Very cool customer around those tight areas. Guthrie gives chase. It's a confident take from McNamara. Good tackle there from Bobby Bratton, just repelling Blair McPherson, which, if you've not been watching the Super6 this season, is no easy task. Simpson into the darkening Edinburgh sky. McPherson underneath it. Stirrett can't quite shackle him. McNamara dumps him backwards to the delight of the Bulls fans beneath us. Reynolds, very good short kicking game. Simpson found a bit of space here. Coetzer was advanced in the chase. Simpson's after it. Main fumbles. Simpson could have put Bloodworth in if he'd seen The second row looming on his shoulder. First red zone possession for either team. Lanack. Brown. One of the Scotland under-20s contingent. Stirrett. Jackson was smashed off the ball, and Ian Kenny has spotted the illegal charge. Brown gets another touch. Lanack. McPherson. Route one from the skipper. Lanack just keeping that defence honest. Simpson introduces Beattie for his first foray of the game. Freed the hands really well to give it back to the scrum half. But nothing much coming there. We will go back for the penalty. Remarkably high ball in playtime, Lee Jones, at the start of this game.
Yeah, I think both coaches alluded to in the build-up just about doing the basics well, and I think we've seen that both sides of the ball, attack and defence from both teams has been on point. The defence has been good. We've seen Ayr just probing with a couple of kicks, and I think that's probably due to the wind we've got blowing right to left here, so it'll be interesting to see how they use that part of their game. But we've seen Watsonians threaten to break free on a couple of occasions, so no, a great opening sequence.
Winger, get back! Winger!
One of the mightiest packs in the tournaments, but the line-out malfunctions. Nimmo gets pause on it for the Bulls.
Back foot, guys!
Not going to plan.
Back foot!
Now the Bulls resort to plan B. Lanack, Malcolm. Good hit coming in. Now they shift it wide. Stirrett. Simpson out the back. McNamara. Here's Tate. 1v1. Just has his ankles lassoed on the 5-metre line.
9, back.
Nimmo once more. Possession in the 22. In conditions such as these, oh so crucial. Malcolm again.
Ripped in the tackle.
Oh, it's a fabulous steal. It's Carl Main, I think, with the blue scrum cap, who's got his mitts on it and wrestled it back. Big defensive set from Watsonians. Brand back to Baggett, who lashes it clear. And Dale, that's a massive win for Watsonians' defence.
Yeah, that's exactly what you get from the back row from Watsonians. Carl Main, they don't miss a lot of tackles. He's got one of the most impressive tackle counts in the league, and you can see he got sharp on his feet there over the ball. No, it's a challenging wind as well, so Baggett doesn't get a lot from his clearance kick, but I think Watsonians will be relieved to just be a little bit further away from their own try line.
Two best attacking teams in the championship as well. Over 360 points apiece they've scored. This time the Bulls line out does function.
One stop, 2.
Lanack goes digging. Main can't get to him. Lanack for Simpson. Trying to step outside Reynolds, but McPherson holds him up. Good strip in the tackle again. And Watsonians clear. And it's another solid defensive effort. Another brilliant piece of work in contact.
Yeah, Ayrshire, for all money, are looking a bit more positive on ball, but a couple of nice steals. We mentioned Carl Main there earlier on. Joey Reynolds there in the tackle. He's an impressive operator both sides of the ball, and just shows a wee bit of strength there to get a rip. And Watsonians are hanging in here. They're down to 22, but they've managed to escape on a couple of occasions.
A little confused at that line out, but Malcolm does get it away to Stirrett, who's pierced the defensive line. Lanack, McPherson running out to win, challenging that gain line. Lanack went blind. Elias Caven was already lurking. Watsonians with a mighty hit. Ayrshire Bulls not happy. Ball dislodged. 3 turnovers inside the Watsonians 22. They're absorbing some of Ayrshire's heaviest blows.
Onside.
Bouncing off the ropes for more right now. Brand keeps it in field. Here's Simpson. Tate. This is where Aaron Tate can cause so many problems. Squat figure, big handoff. Banak to Archie Smeaton. Played in the varsity game for Cambridge a few years ago, alongside some mighty international players. Simpson has overcooked that by a matter of inches. Johnny Perry, the near side assistant, right on the money. It was Bobby Beattie with the kick.
That's a great reward for about 7 minutes of tenacious defence from Watsonians. And you can see as well in defence, they're keeping them really high, not letting them get to ground and start that ruck to keep the momentum going. So they're looking to try and keep them upright, be as physical as possible in the tackle. And they've forced Ayrshire Bulls into making the mistake. Gives them a little bit of territory in the first time that Watsonians can launch an attack.
Line out works well for Watsonians.
In 5.
And this is a weapon we've seen Watsonians use time and again. Rory Jackson ordered away from it.
One stop.
Carl Davis, the captain.
Stay bound for.
Brand. Berg comes short. Instead they go to McPherson, but Tim Brown and Richie Simpson line him up. Bratton.
Off feet, 8. Off feet.
Brand once more. Baggett. Reynolds looking to free those hands. He's such an impressive playmaking 12, Joe Reynolds. This is Beresford, 5 tries for the season. McPherson done for a tackle off the ball, so Watsonians with the penalty advantage. That is beautiful from Baggett, and dancing through goes Guthrie. Caven recovering well. Watsonians explode into the 22. Brand supported overrun him, but he hits Main, and now McPherson striding. 5 metres short. Brand tries to dispatch Beattie off the ball. That was Van Niekerk. Bulls crying for the turnover, not getting it. Davis. Brand. Reynolds. Pass goes astray. Baggett recovers. Guthrie stepping inside, forcing his way forwards.
Not rolling. Penalty advantage.
Another penalty advantage. Brand going blind, then cutting back on himself.
Ball's available, guys. Back foot.
Watsonians hammering at the Ayrshire Bulls' door.
Back foot.
Now they keep it tight. Louis Ball with Beresford
Back foot,
alongside
next
him. Courtney protects. Here goes the New Zealander. Carl Main is with him. Courtney repelled. Watsonians heading in the right direction.
Back foot.
Brand, Baggett, spinning, shackled. Cecil takes it on. And now the penalty will have to come because Tim Brown has jackled so well. Last-ditch defence everywhere at both ends.
What a game we've got in our hands here. That's probably, we're 10 minutes in, we've got Watsonians with their first probably really meaningful possession. Jason Baggett, really smart. He's got advantage. Watsonians generally have a smart kicking game anyway. He goes to the chip kick. Angus Guthrie gets through, and then they're relentless that round the corner, their forwards really taking it to Ayrshire, and that's going to be a battle all day. But you can see this match really coming into life, and that's Watsonians getting off on the right foot with their first kind of glut of possession.
Watsonians reloads and come again. The maul is a serious weapon. That's great work from Bloodworth to disrupt it though, and McPherson gives it away to Jackson. Aaron Tate screaming for it on the outsides, and the hands just aren't quite in sync with the brains.
Yeah, we've got a much better view of it here, but you can see Aaron Tate obviously a little bit disappointed that he never got the ball earlier. If that ball gets through the hands, he's probably got more of a chance to try and pin the lugs back and really test this Watsonians defence, but it all came down to that really good work at the maul. You could see them swimming straight through the middle, and Blair McPherson was there as hot as you like at the back just to pick up the ball and launch the counter-attack.
Van Niekerk, once more the option in the line-outs. Scottish qualifier, South Africa born. Brand into Guthrie. Use him a lot off his wing, Angus Guthrie. Big rangy specimen.
Never onside. We're never back onside. No, we're never back onside. We have
really interesting how Watsonians used their blindside wingers. It was the same in the semi-final against Heritage. They got a lot of change out of bringing Loman McPherson off his wing. Angus Guthrie's in this week. It's a real threat, and it's no doubt something Nicky Walker's got a big part to play in as the assistant coach there. And I think we'll see it as the game unfolds, just the ability to bring those guys in. Obviously they're physical guys, they've got feet, they've got pace, so that can really stretch defences before you can then build your face play. Really interesting play from Watsonians.
It's got a huge stamp in Nicky Walker. He was a towering winger. He liked to come in field, and McPherson and Guthrie both have similar characteristics. You can totally see the the stamp that he's got in this Watsonians backline.
And as a winger, how good is it to know that you're getting ball off set piece, you're going to get a first phase ball, and it just gets you involved, because it can be a lonely place when you're standing out there, tell me. But when you know that's coming and you know you can get hands on ball, it's just great to get these guys that are athletic on the ball.
Jason Baggett has had a fine season with ball in hand. His kicking stats aren't the best though, operating at around 64% across the championship. Former Edinburgh professional, kicking into the breeze here. The chance to splinter the deadlock. Confidently done from Baggett. First blood in the final, Watsonians.
I think Baggett's had an impressive start to this game, with a little chip kick as well. They've obviously got Lee Miller on the bench as well, but I think Baggett certainly justified his selection to start as 10.
Definitely, he's been effective in the past few weeks as well. Just his kicking game, but he's also incisive in terms of his running game, and he takes the ball to the line. Like you say, Dale, you've also got Lee Miller to come off the bench, who's a great weapon to have on there as well.
Watsonians spent plenty of the opening 10 minutes camped in this area. They'll be very eager to get out of it quickly. Slicey one from Brand. The Ayrshire Bulls with a chance to crank the pressure up again.
Brand's been another player that's impressive as well, and I think it just shows Watsonians have a lot of strength and depth in their squad. They've got Murray Scott on the bench. It's amazing, at this level there's a lot of talented rugby players, but Watsonians have a lot of options in their squad.
That must have been a tight call, because Murray Scott's been really impressive in the last. He took man of the match a couple of weeks ago, and but then Rory Brand as well, he's had a really good season, so an embarrassment of riches there.
No, don't swim.
This is a serious maul from the Ayrshire Bulls, sucking in Watsonians players. Where's the ball? Might not need to get it out at this rate. Still they drive, still McPherson points the way. That's the 5 metre line at the bottom of your picture. Eventually it goes to ground.
No, don't touch the 9.
They've hoovered up nearly 15 metres though. McPherson.
Roll 6, back foot 7.
Lanack looking for Stirrett. Instead it goes to Tim Brown, the young flanker.
Back foot 2.
Lanack again. Malcolm.
Off feet 1, off feet.
Watsonians screaming for more players to defend out wide. Here's Stirrett. Oh, what a charge from Andy Stirrett. That's how to score a try in the final. Invites the defender to take a seat and explodes over for the game's first try.
Awesome physicality there for a score from Andy Stirrett, but it was built from what Ayrshire Bulls are almost known for, what's written into the DNA of the club and has been for the past few years, and it's that tight 5, and it's up front, and the maul got them going, it got them the field position, and it just brings this game to life. But what a carry from Andy Stirrett there to go over, and he's had a great season so far, defensively really strong, and he just shows it on the other side of the ball there as well.
Only 20 years old, Andy Stirrett. What an introduction he's had to this Super 6 team, taking the place of Jamie Shedden, who's done plenty of that kind of work on the game line himself. And now Richie Simpson, another to make that step up. With such ease, bangs over the extras. 7-3 the Bulls lead.
As you say, Lee, it was all hard work from the forwards, really protecting that ball when it was that difficult. You know, the maul started splintering. It didn't look the most attractive, you know, attacking maul. But when it did come out wide, it was the fact that everybody sucked in. And they were allowed to steer it one-on-one with his opposite man and just bowled right over the top of him. And he's a man who, you know, loves the physical contact, and he won that battle.
A very deep kick this from Baggett. It's bounced the right side of the corner flag. So Ayrshire Bulls are going to be throwing in at a line-out 5 metres from their own line. A wry grin from the South African.
Just shows you that blustery wind. For all money, you'd have thought the ball was going to hang up there, and I think the Ayrshire Bulls guys probably thought the same, but that gives a great bit of field position for Watsonians. Is a difficult exit now for Ayrshire.
Big throw now for James Malcolm. Lots of pro experience. Bloodworth grappling with Beresford in the air. The Bulls will try and squeeze a few metres, give their playmakers more of an angle to extricate themselves from this position. Jordan Lanak, a cry of anguish as that goes straight up, straight back down again, but it's rescued by the skipper. He's been everywhere so far, Blair McPherson. And Lanak bangs another one up, well, that one straight out on the full, onto the roof of the stand. And a couple of shaky box kicks in quick succession from the Australian scrum half.
Yeah, we've spoken about it quite a lot in the Super 6 campaign, but after you concede or score points, you need a positive reaction. Baggett gets a good kick, yes, fortunate with the wind, but you know, I think Ayrshire Bulls were maybe just a little bit too keen to get the tempo going there, looking to try and kick downfield, and they forced the mistake and invited a lot of pressure.
Overthrow from Davis, miscommunication, and James Malcolm has hoofed it into yards of unguarded Dam Health plastic. Coetzer under pressure. And what we're seeing in this game is how closely matched these teams are, and how every error, every mistake is bringing about a massive switch in momentum.
Smart play from the hooker James Malcolm, is it? We seen it last week in the semi-final. Actually, he got ball off a turnover on the wing, put his boot to it, so he's obviously gaining a bit of confidence there. That was the grubber last week. We now add the punt to the armoury, so it's smart. Look, it's turnover ball. He's hoofed it long, and Watsonians have to scramble. It's a line out for Ayrshire.
Good dart as well to back up the kick from Malcolm. His sister Rachel was captaining Scotland in the Women's World Cup out in New Zealand over the past few weeks. Lanak, Stirrett, Simpson to Caven, who spies a bit of space. Coetzer had come scrambling up to defend. He's now scrambling back, and that's a smart kick from Elias Caven.
You know, it's you know, we're 20 minutes in. It's a great game. How many games do we see played between the 22s? It feels like 20 minutes has been played in each 22. You know, both teams showing a lot of attacking intent. You know, and that is just great rugby intelligence from Malcolm to see that there's space in behind to kick forward. But equally as good at intelligence there to spot the gap in behind and stab a little kick through.
Ayrshire Bulls up not to contest that one. Van Niekerk has freedom to claim it.
One stop cut.
Cal Davis brings it away to Berg, who is a very useful piece of weaponry when yards are the order of the day. One of the standout midfield men across the championship. Brand, scythe-like action with the right boots, and that's a safer touch.
I think just going back to that piece of play, Elias Caven, for all money, you think, you know, powerful guy, top try scorer in your league, you think he's getting that ball out the back. The defence probably think he's carrying there. You think for all money your short side winger's going to carry there. For him to then, you know, that pulls up your outside winger, for then him to then put it on foot, to put it in behind, that just changes the picture a wee bit. The defence will then second guess that the next time. Great play.
Penalty advantage.
Ayrshire Bulls have milked a penalty. Watsonians player lifting a leg, and the maul again is sweeping all in its path. Lanak, Stirrett, stabbing it through for BT. Reynolds under pressure. And Kenny will bring them back.
You feel this is a battle between, you know, if Watsonians can get the tempo and get the ball and play a game at their pace, you know, they're not being allowed to, because the other side of that, Ayrshire Bulls have a lot of physicality in the team. They've got such a big dominant pack, and you feel that they're getting the upper hand up front at the moment, putting the pressure on Watsonians, and you know, they're not giving Watsonians an inch so far.
Richie Simpson bangs the Ayrshire Bulls into the corner again. There's so little to choose between these two across the course of the season. Their only defeats came against each other. Watsonians turning over the Bulls at Myerside. A fortnight earlier, the Bulls doing the business down at Millbrae against their Edinburgh opponents. Here come the Ayrshiremen again.
Stop.
Linac. This is out Stirritz. Here's Tate, siding off his wing. He's there! Deadly. From brawn to brain. Aaron Tate gets the Bulls seconds, and they're taking the final by the scruff.
And again, that comes from great work from the forwards, but I think it was Baggett has just burst out of that line, and he's created a huge chasm in the defence. You can see here in the maul, Stirrit as well. Lee Jones was on about it before. He fixes that defence, and that is where that gap comes. But great footwork and great finishing from Tate, because that is a winger's try.
It's a great finish as well. He had work to do. He had a player to beat. He had a player coming across, but such a low centre of gravity, Aaron Tate, and his footwork is second to none. His ability to go lateral, but keep his pace as he's moving. That's a great finish for the winger.
Simpson from straight in front again. No mistakes. 11 points the difference. Watsonians already 2 scores down, all to play for. Smeaton looked to be taken in the air by Main. Ian Kenny agrees. BT. Free play for the Bulls. Stirrit drops it onto the boots. And we will go back for that infringement. Carl Main just getting his timing a little off.
I think Watsonians so far will be really disappointed with their penalty count. Discipline's been a big issue for them, allowing the Ayrshire Bulls some cheap territory. You see there straight away from the kickoff, we spoke before about not doing anything silly after conceding or scoring. And Seb Cecil was just up, Carl Main, sorry, was just up a little bit too quick on Smeaton, putting a bit of pressure on him, and concedes a penalty.
Number 8.
Only 2 points separated these pair in the final regular season standings. Watsonians top on 46, Bulls on 44, as Cal Davis picks off the overthrow from Malcolm. Neither line out as tidy as the coaches would like. Main into Smeaton, renewing that rivalry. Baggett, missing Berg to Reynolds, inside now to McPherson. Stirrit hauling him down. Brand, Berg. Funnikirk. Some big specimens in this Bulls pack. Baggett. Berg. It's an interesting grubber. So Chase McNamara back. It's wrong-footed, the Australian. He's got plenty sevens experience, plenty class, but he can't run without his legs. There's Berg getting in with the hit and the big counter ruck.
Out there now, Ace.
And it's untidy for Jordan Linac. But that's a very tidy clearance in the end from the 2-time Glasgow Warrior. His last game in Scotland before he heads off to pastures new for territories new. He would really love to do so, a champion again.
Time on, we've got a man down. Water break.
It's a more measured exit from Jordan Linac there, just taking a wee bit more time, and they get the result. As you mentioned before, Dale, just it almost looked like there was a rushed exit and then another box kick that was rushed earlier on, and that kind of put them into a bit of a sticky situation there, and much more measured. It was a good ball through from Lewis Berg actually, and the fact that McNamara had to turn, he almost couldn't get his kick. He was probably wanting to kick, he couldn't get his kick away. He's had to stutter a bit, and then Watsonians have caught him behind the gain line, but it's a decent enough exit as well.
See, watching that live, I thought Berg had almost made the wrong option kicking in behind, but he had men up on his right hand side. But it was such a good, a trundling grubber kick that did catch McNamara quite hot. But I think that box kick, the exit there from Lanack, is perhaps showing that the Ayrshire Bulls have settled into this final a little bit quicker. But you can see there, Stirrett in a bit of trouble from an earlier bit of impact.
Yes, the right ankle, I think. It just got caught under him as he dragged Lewis Berg to the ground, and then the collision almost took his body weight over the ankle. So he has come off, and on his place has come young Thomas Glendinning, the prospect from Fife. Free scoring prospect, was used on the wing earlier in the season, but it looks like he will slot in at outside centre with Bobby Beattie moving in 1 to 12.
That's disappointing for Stirrett. He's obviously had a good start to this game, but he could be a huge miss for Ayrshire Bulls.
Scored that belting try so early on in the contest. He's been so impressive in recent weeks. There's a door for Stirrett closes, one opens for Thomas Glendinning. Assuming the number 22 jersey was too big to fit him. He's got 25 on his back today.
He's an exciting player as well, Thomas Glendinning, part of the under-20s setup. He's got real pace, he's got real attacking threat. Obviously disappointing for Andy Stirrett, but Thomas Glendinning he'll be looking forward to his opportunity probably a wee bit earlier in this game than he would have expected.
And that deal is what this competition's about. One under-20 international goes off, replaced by his age grade teammate.
Exactly what it's about, and I've echoed it week on, week out. Things aren't going to change very rapidly in Super 6 in terms of nurturing these players, but we've got such an abundance of young talent coming through, and this is the platform to get them exposed to.
Brand for Baggett. Watsonians need a try. They need some inspiration. Kutzer. Guthrie might be the man to provide it. He comes charging off his wing, battering through a couple of tacklers. Tim Brown not able to pilfer it back. Brand, Cecil, mighty carrier, lots of experience in the English Championship. Baggett. This is Berg straightening, dipping the shoulder into contact. Into the Bulls 22, they tumble through Quagga van Niekerk. Bloodworth just holds him back. Bratton scored a crucial try against the Boroughmuir Bears a few weeks ago. Reynolds, Baggett floats one out wide. Guthrie again is lurking. Again, he's dealt with by the defenders. Brand, and the touchline he goes. Get the ball inside to Loman McPherson. Smeaton so close to turning him over. Brand again, Harrison Courtney. Edinburgh professional prop. This is Reynolds at first receiver. Couldn't quite link with his inside support runner. Davis. Quick ball for Watsonians. Penalty advantage up their sleeve. Cecil. In the shadow of the Ayrshire Bulls uprights. Baggett sweeping from left to right. Just decked. And that could be a deliberate knock-on. McPherson scoops it up. Legs pumping. Carl Main riding side saddle. Bratton. And still. And over. A huge surge from the Watsonians tight heads. And boy, they needed that.
You feel there was a matter of tempo from Brand. He was really keeping the tempo moving, trying to stretch the defence, which allowed them, especially when they got the free ball, they didn't actually, just look to roll the dice and gamble. They knew what was working, they were making steady yards. And there, Bratton just spotted a little gap. The players not able, from the Ayrshire Bulls point of view, not able to cover guard quick enough and get in there to really, plug the gaps that they were creating. And that all comes from the tempo, I feel, from Brand, stretching the defence, keeping the tempo high.
Yeah, Brand providing the tempo and then the accuracy of the passing just from the Watsonians backline. It's in front of the man's able to come on at pace. Angus Guthrie's had a bit of space on the edge, but the ball's in front of him and he's coming onto it, and he's a hard man to stop. I felt Ayrshire Bulls defence, the width that they're having, it's causing problems for Watsonians. They're having to break them down, but eventually when they're going width to width to width, there's going to be space. You can't defend as well for long periods of time, and they eventually broke them down in a good wee finish as well.
Two from two for Jason Baggett. Watsonians 10, Ayrshire Bulls 14. And it's the men from the capital who come up with a big response as the rain begins to come cascading down in west central Edinburgh. Conditions deteriorating, but the contest hotting up nicely. Baggett, loads of distance on that clearance. McNamara, McPherson in the backfield as ever, carrying hard as ever. A good tackle though from Lewis Berg. That's how to bring down Blair McPherson. Tate had a little pop around the fringes. Carol Main just knocked that on, but Watsonians win the penalty. There you go, Tim Brown coming in off his feet in desperation.
That's a huge win for Watsonians there off the back of a score up the far end. They've then managed to. It's a great turnover in the middle of the field. Ayr off the counter attack. They hit the middle as teams often do. They work back really hard. But that's a big win in terms of the momentum of the game here for Watsonians. They now kick to the corner. They've got field position and they've got their tails up.
There was also a great tackle on Blair McPherson from Berg. He came out, just wrapped him around the ankles, and I think Blair McPherson's had an impressive first 20-25 minutes of this game, and that's exactly what you need to do to take the wind out of sails.
Seven minutes to go to half-time.
Good contest.
Watsonians could take the lead with a try here. And they're going route one. Ball, though, has been worked to the front, which has allowed Andrew Nimmo to come in and get hands on it. He didn't construct that very well. Cal Davis far too far forwards. And Andrew Nimmo's eyes will have been lighting up seeing that exposed ball and turning Watsonians over.
It is very difficult to defend mauls as potent as what Watsonians have, but it was almost too easy there. Cal Davis left exposed at the back, and it started to wheel and twist, and it just fell into the hands of Nimmo, who in his own right has had a very impressive Super 6 campaign. He scored the opening try in the semi-final win against the Bears last weekend, but just fell right into his lap and was able just to thwart that straight away.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Nimmo lost his bind there. Pressure from Bratton. The Ayrshire Bulls play away. Knocked on by Glenn Dinning. Coates are all on his own. What has he got in his box of tricks this time? And Dinning misses him. Brown misses him. And Dinning recovered. Huge collision. Cecil exploiting some space. Brand. Baggett whipping round again. Trademark from the Watsonians pivot. Carol Main smashing into McPherson. Brilliant duel between those two today. Davis. Brand again. Reynolds dummying and jinking. Trying to find some half gaps. Baggett's kick is blocked. There may have been a pull back on Richie Simpson as he went tearing after it. Simpson has it in any case. Blair McPherson took it on. Yeah, Ian Kenny spotted that. It was Baggett on Simpson, trying to recover the situation. Perhaps a case for a yellow card there?
Yeah, I think Robert Beattie will probably agree with you there as well. As you can see him doing the old flash of the card, the imaginary card in the background there, but think Baggett legally got back really well to disrupt that when Simpson was going forward, but yeah, he did spot that well. There was a claw back as they looked to scamper downfield.
What will Pat MacArthur be thinking, Lee? He's seen his team score 2 tries in quick succession, only to be pegged back recently, and momentum just seems to be with Watsonians right now.
Yeah, there's been a few swings, and Pat talked about before the game, as did Fergus Pringle, just about doing the basics. It's a final, you know, it's not playing the occasion, it's playing the game, and I think so far he can probably be pretty pleased with that. I think they've probably just lost the swing of momentum on a couple of occasions and allowed Watsonians to gain a bit of field possession, to get over the line. As I mentioned before, I think Ayr are actually defending really well. They're getting good width in their defence, they're being physical, but there's only so long you can do that for, and I think it'll be interesting to see going into the second half just how the conditions play. I feel like the wind's almost died down a little bit, but whether that then changes the face of the game a little bit when Ayr are down on this left-hand side, it'll be interesting to see. But I think, you know, on the whole, Pat will be pretty happy. Although it's pretty close, I think it could be a lot better as well.
I've got it here. On the 10, guys.
Such an interesting dynamic between the two finalists. Watsonians with a pretty good record against the Ayrshire Bulls in recent seasons. They've won 3 of the past 4 matches. But their own 11-game winning run was halted at Millbrae back in late August. The Bulls winning that most recent of the 4 encounters. The defending champions with Paul's on ball again. Beattie, Simpson, Tate onto McNamara, Caven with him. And he just wanted that kick to stay in a bit longer and give Caven more of a chase. But nonetheless, pressure will be heaped upon the Watsonians line out.
You know, we talk about the Ayrshire Bulls forwards quite a lot, but it shows their first phase ball being able to stretch the defence and find gaps. They are dangerous, especially with wingers like Tate and Caven. Obviously Caven, 10 tries so far this season. You know, hunting down the 11th there, and just a little bit of power off of that kick, and you know, it could have bounced up into his hands and it could have been in the corner before half-time.
Safely taken by Cecil.
Okay, in it. Stop.
Watsonians don't want to mess around in this area of the pitch. The wind seems to be gusting towards that corner, towards Murrayfield Stadium, and the Nat almost charging Brand down. And that, under the circumstances, is a pretty decent kick.
It's a good kick, but on the flip side, this is a great platform. We've seen Ayr earlier on in the match launch their maul here, and I'd be surprised to see them go elsewhere. It's a real strength of theirs. As I say, we've seen them earlier on in the half, and this is an important time for Watsonians to hang on and keep Ayr out before the half.
Jackson is the target. Ayrshire Bulls loading up their heavies again. And the Bulls fans are beginning to get into the swing of this. Linac, Beattie into McPherson, steamrolls a couple, then a couple more. Front foot ball for the Bulls. Simpson onto Caven, straightening. For his 11th try of the season, Elias Caven. Willie Jackson rather getting in the way of his captain, but McPherson manages to make a pretty decent fist of it. Bloodworth stoops into the tackle of Cecil. Bobby Bratton over the ball though. And he has made some telling, well, it's Harrison Courtney in fact who's made a telling contribution. A massive turnover with half-time so close.
That was a brilliant turnover from Courtney, got himself in a great position. You see Ayr trying to stretch them, and it was pretty good carry there from Bloodworth, but as soon as he hit the deck, the players Nimmo just could not move Courtney from that position. So hard when you get into that position very, very quickly, over the ball, and he's a big man to try and move.
We were having this chat off-air, Lee. How do you safely, legally remove a jackal, particularly a 120-kilo jackal, from a ball like that. You had some interesting insights from how Dave Rennie used to coach that when you were at Glasgow.
Yeah, look, it's tough. Like initially, to take all that out of the game, you got to be there first. If you're there first, you win the race. So, you know, that's top of the list. You want to win the race either side of the ball. I mean, Dave always used to talk about sharp lines, and you're almost verging on a 45, and you can always square your hips up after the hit. But if you're coming in square on to try and clear a guy like Harrison Courtney there, it's a tough job. It's a tough job, and to do it legally, it's a tough job. I just wonder if in hindsight you look back at moments like that, a turnover, Harrison Courtney, that can be a match-winning moment in a match that's as close as this. With Bulls, you know, towards the end of the half, they've got the conditions in their favour. Is that something that can really turn this game when they can, Watsonians kind of free the shackles and get themselves back up to halfway?
Davis to Cecil in the line out. Final 30 seconds of the half. Will Watsonians fancy a crack at Ayrshire Bulls? Or will they settle for a 4-point deficit? Davis flirting with the touchline, and then Lanac ransacks Rory Brand. And that is half-time. A feisty and frenetic end to the first 40. And it's all getting a bit untidy down beneath us. Everybody's piling in. And there are a fist or two flying. Goodness me. Oh, the coaches are having to get involved. The replacements are off the bench. Louis Ball, Seb Cecil and co. Right in amongst it for Watsonians. They've all got to walk off together side by side anyway now. But what a half we've had. What a keenly contested first 40 minutes. It ended with fireworks. It started with blistering tries from the Ayrshire Bulls. Watsonians, though, have come roaring back into it. Half-time at the Dam Health. Watsonians 10, Ayrshire Bulls 14.
Welcome back to the Damhill Stadium at half-time here between Ayrshire and Watsonians. Watsonians have 10, Ayrshire Bulls have 14, a couple of tries for them, and it's been a tousy first 40 minutes, Lee, has it not?
It's been so competitive. Both teams fighting for every inch. The conditions have had a part to play, but both teams have came to play. It's physical, it's aggressive, there's been turnovers and a couple of great tries as well.
And we talked before the game actually, and we saw the Ayrshire Bulls warming up behind us. There was a real zip to what they were doing, and I'm thinking they've come here to do some damage. There's been a lot of big hits in that first half, amazing physicality, and what a half of rugby it's been.
Yeah, and I think Ayr, we saw them in the warm-up, and they've played in a lot of finals before. They know what it takes to win, and that's going back to club before Super 6 was formed, and they obviously won the final here last year. But Watsonians as well, they've brought their A game as well, and they've won a couple of key turnovers. They've been physical when they've needed to, and showed real incision as well.
So let's have a look at some of the hits then, because I was amazed. Imagine this is semi-professional rugby, but they're here and they're here to do damage, aren't they? I mean, look at the state of this. It was absolutely incredible what's going on here. Massive hits.
Yeah,
both teams are so well coached, aren't they? Defensively.
Yeah, the defence for both teams has been so impressive all season. The way they fill the field, the way they get double hits in. And there's no love lost, as we've seen with the scrap at the end of the match as well. But Blair McPherson, great ball carrier, they're really looking at him to try and get, whenever he carries in the midfield, they then get quick ball. They can then, get their backs involved in the game. He's been a key part of the first half.
Andy Stirrett went over for the first try for Ayrshire, but the second was a very different try, because Stirrett was, he was a blunderbuss going through there. Aaron Tate, though, great wingers try from him, lovely feet.
Yeah, and Andy Stirrett, he's went over for the first one. He's acted decoy on the second try. Aaron Tate has looked really lively when he's had his hands on the ball, and mentioned it in commentary, but just that low centre of gravity, the ability to change direction and accelerate. He still had a bit of work to do. It came off a good platform. He's plucked that nicely, and just off the left foot he's managed to, and then come back out. He'll be pleased with that one as a winger. That's a great try to score.
And at that point as well, you were thinking, Ayrshire Bulls, they had their foot on the gas there. Watsonians, probably for the first time this season, looked in real trouble.
Yeah, they've been really challenged. I think Ayrshire are always going to challenge you up front. And initially Watsonians probably felt that, but I think at times they've held their own and come right back into it as well. And
let's talk about how they got back into it. That try just in front of us here, and again it was from a couple of yards out, but a vital one for them. Doesn't matter how you score it, as long as you get points on the board.
Yeah, we talked about defence, and Ayrshire were stretched side to side. They defended well for phases, but I felt Watsonians moved the ball really well, width to width, getting their wingers involved. Penalty advantage, Lomond McPherson does well to pick it up. And it's just almost, battering through phases, and it's a good finish as well.
Ayrshire would normally kind of pride themselves on the defence, but in a situation like this, the ball came free, everyone just sort of stood up a bit and had a look, and suddenly, Watsonians, they don't need a second chance, do they?
Yeah, there's a wee bit of hesitation there, isn't there? And Bobby Bratton does well just to ride the first challenge and then get himself over. He'll be pleased with that. And that really, in terms of the game, it picked up a wee bit of momentum for Watsonians, and they just you could see them feed off the back of that. So with it being so close going into half time, it makes for the second half being a good one.
And let us remind ourselves that the second half will be an equally exciting encounter, because the first half finished, let's say they were giving themselves a wee cuddle, were they? A wee cuddle, because they're obviously cold after that first 40. Yeah, some fists were flying there. This means something to both teams.
It's a final, and the guys have grafted all season to get here, and I think for the most part of the half they contained it pretty well given the physicality, but it sometimes just takes a little spark and it gets things going. It's good to see, the guys, it matters to the guys, and you can see that it sets the second half up for, a real tussle, but it's hard to even see what it comes.
I know exactly. What was it all about? What does it have to be all about?
It often doesn't take too much, and once someone's grabbed onto the opposite man and somebody has a wee tussle and everybody wants to join in. Look, it's no one was harmed. It's good to see.
a bit of pushing and pulling there. But you know, the classic thing with rugby players, of course, they grab each other's collars with hoping that fist just ever so slightly gently touches against the jaw, just to push the player away and all that. They're pushing the laws as we know it, though.
Yeah, it's always a bonus, isn't it? If that slips in there, well, it's they're smart. They're smart. They know they're on camera. They know they've got touch judges watching, but it's a case of flexing the muscles in terms of we're here to win, and both teams are here to win, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
It is.
The second half.
This is the thing, is, I mean, the first 10 minutes of any second half is hugely important, but you know, if Ayrshire Bulls were to score first here, I mean, they won't get out of sight because we know Watsonians will stay in the game, but my goodness, Watsonians under pressure here, even though they have the momentum, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we can feel it here. We can see the breeze coming up. I think that's going to have a big part to play. Watsonians, I think they'll have a bit of confidence knowing that they've now got that win behind them. And their smart kicking game that I've talked about, you got Joey Reynolds in there. Lee Miller can come off the bench. You know, Jason Baggett has been awesome in that first half, and for the past few weeks he's got the ability, those guys have got the ability to find space, and particularly when they've got that momentum and the wind behind them, it'll be interesting to see how the Bulls deal with that.
And the rain has come on and the wind is going as well. It's going to be a huge second half here at the Dam Health Stadium. It's Watsonians 10, Ayrshire Bulls 14. A huge 40 minutes of rugby coming up after the break.
Welcome back, everybody. 40 minutes to decide the FOSROC Super6 Championship. The Ayrshire Bulls with that slender first half advantage. The Watsonians with the momentum going into the break. And we're all set for a tense and no doubt drama-laden second half with twists and turns aplenty. Harrison Courtney with a crucial turnover for Watsonians right at the end. Some big performances out there already.
Here we go in the second half of the 2022 FOSROC Super6 Final. One score separating the sides. And your team's going to need you to get behind them.
It will be Watsonians and Jason Baggett.
Watsonians or Ayrshire Bulls.
to kick us off once more.
Let's make some noise!
A healthy crowd inside the Dam today. Around 1,500 tickets sold. And plenty of backing. Plenty of noise. Plenty of excitement. Off we go. The final 40 minutes of the season. The final series of twists and turns with the trophy on the line and opportunities knocking. Brand, Funnikirk. Baggett towards Berg. He shapes up and goes through the tackle of Rory Jackson. Brand whipping it round to the blind side to Baggett, who is such a free-running fly half. He loves to sweep around and attack the short sides. Good hit from Brown on Cecil. Reynolds. Brand once more. Berg charging into Archie Smeaton. Hair flying everywhere. Brand again. Slightly less hair for Cal Davis. Brand. Good barrel and charge. The Watsonians pack hitting their straps. The backline less so though, and Bobby Beattie has towed into space. Beautiful pickup from Beattie. Kutzer with the recovery. But the Bulls now, with the wind in their sails. Jackson charging away. Baggett brings the big man down. And then it's spilled on the deck by James Malcolm. And that first minute and a half of second half action just epitomises the ebbs and flows of this game.
It does just show that when there's a little error creeps into the game, how it can turn. And Watsonians looked accurate when they came out there. They were hitting their targets. They were getting there in numbers. It was taking two Ayrshire Bulls defenders really to bring the runners down, which meant they kind of had free ball to play with. They weren't getting contested on the floor, but just one missed pass, it goes to ground, and you can see the experience that Bobby Beattie brings. You know, getting the ball, kicking it, hacking it through, and being able to scoop it up is a skill in its own in terms of, you know, that under pressure experience from the 7th circuit. But Coates had done very well to get back and make the scramble tackle as well.
Bobby did so well to pick that up and hold his feet. You mentioned it in the first half, Dale, but just Rory Brand, his speed of service in that first half, he was almost encouraging his backline onto the ball, and I think almost there just maybe before they were even ready, which can be a real positive. But it just then forced the error, and Bobby Beattie, how good just to pounce on it, to kick it through, it then puts him under pressure.
Another big blow this for the Ayrshire Bulls. They already lost Andy Stirrett, who scored the opening try midway through that first half. They've now lost Bobby Beattie as well. So Will Hunt, who's generally a fly half, will be on for the stricken Beattie. And it looks like he's going to slot in at 12. Thomas Glendinning, the other replacement, at 13. And Richie Simpson remaining in the number 10 position. It's a shame for Bobby Beattie. He's not long back from injury. He was just starting to make an influential impact on this match.
This is going to be really defensively. You know, those changes for Ayrshire Bulls. You've lost two really experienced centre partners in there. They both, you've still got half a game to go. So the you know, the replacements in terms of Glendinning and Hunt have got a nice challenge ahead of them to try and stop the onslaught from Reynolds and Berg.
Yeah, a really experienced Watsonian centre pair in Reynolds and Berg, and physical as well, especially with Lewis Berg in that 13 channel. So it'll be, you know, a tough day for those boys in terms of the Ayrshire centres, but it'll be interesting to see how they stick to the task.
Solid scrum from Watsonians. Reynolds away to Baggett. And lashes that one down the middle. Aaron Tate's got some chasing to do here. Guthrie tearing back after him. And Tate may have carried that back. He has. Brilliant weight on the kick from Baggett. And Watsonians have gained 60 metres.
Watsonians were top of the pile in terms of open play kicks. They use it as a great attacking weapon. And you can see there Baggett going against the grain as well, going, you know, looking to play open, then going blind and using the pace from Guthrie, and puts on a lot of pressure at Tate. And you can see the bouncing ball, he's waiting and just wishing for that line to come a bit sooner, just not able to, and gets ushered over. Great pressure from Guthrie.
You're just hoping for that ball as Aaron Tate to go over the line, and you're wishing it along, and there comes a point where you have to make the call, you have to go in and get there, and to be fair, he did, he went in well. But I think that kicking game from Watsonians, especially given the conditions, mentioned it at half time, but that's going to play a huge part in how the second half unfolds.
Wonderful attacking field position for Watsonians. Cecil feeds Brand. Berg. Carl Main leaping in to rescue the ball back for his team. Courtney has a shot. 7 or so metres out. Davis now probing, burrowing. Van Niekerk heading towards the posts. Kwaka Van Niekerk a metre short. Davis, the captain, for the try. Oh, just short. So close for Watsonians. Now they spin it. Reynolds. What a chop tackle from Glendinning. Saving the day. But is it a stay of execution for the Bulls? It's been lost forward on the ground. The Ayrshire Bulls have to be careful here. But Watsonians ping for offsides. Another colossal defensive set, and the crucial tackle, just as Reynolds looked to pry them open, came from Thomas Glendinning.
It's quite similar to what we've seen in the first half, but roles reversed, isn't it? Watsonians now with the possession, they're battering the line, and Bulls have managed to come up with a great turnover just to relieve that wee bit of pressure. And these are big moments in a match like this.
That was a great tackle from Glendinning, because that's a nailed-on try. You know, distribution from Baggett there, Reynolds cutting a great line, and that is an excellent tackle. We just spoke about the defence and how these, you know, the replacements are going to settle. Glendinning settled very well in his new partnership.
Don't worry, by the way, if you're struggling to hear referee Ian Kenny over his microphone. We are too. Hence the running repairs being made to his communications unit, which involves Bob Nevins, the fourth official, trotting on to make some wardrobe adjustments to Ian Kenny. Hopefully we'll have his Irish brogue back with us momentarily. The Ayrshire Bulls have drawn the penalty at this line out. So McPherson with a free play gleefully barrels into two backs. And Lanak is caught at the base. Ian Kenny will just bring them across to where the penalty was conceded. It's a couple of penalties in succession. It's the sort of thing we saw from Scotland yesterday, Lee, in the Australia Test match. Penalty follows penalty, and it just gives a team an easy out and easy yards.
It just relieves pressure, doesn't it? And you know, given the conditions we've mentioned, given the way Watsonians were bringing their kicking game into play, it just lets them off the hook. It lets Ayrshire off the hook, and we've seen it in the first half from Watsonians, and this is what manages swings and momentum. And you know, when it comes down to a final, these things you can look back at the end, and there can be periods like this where you think that had a real bearing on the final result. It can be small margins when the teams are so closely contested.
The line out not working for the Bulls though, and Davis for the second time gobbles it up at the tail. And then Watsonians cough it up. The Bulls with a reprieve. Lanak feeds Smeaton. A very rambunctious carrier, Scotland age grade flanker. This is Hunt. Coetzer stops it, did go backwards. Glendinning cuts down Dom Coetzer. And now ball down the blind side, but pilfered, turnover, penalty. Tim Brown paws on ball.
I think that's difficult sometimes when you're an attacking player. You're almost preempting the contact, and ball gets really, really deep there when he's carrying, and he's isolated as well. So he's losing yards. He's not fighting to stay on his feet. He goes down, and Ayrshire Bulls get in a great position in terms of getting over that ball to force the referee's decision to award them the penalty. But I feel that Ball perhaps just preempted that, maybe not as aggressive in the carry as he perhaps could have been because he was isolated.
It's a bit of like the Matador effect. You're almost like the defence is there. They then almost, it's a passive tackle, but then because he then gets yards and he gets isolated and he's probably thinking he's getting yards, he doesn't maybe work as hard in terms of leg drive, then it makes it an easier steal. It's an interesting tactic, and whether it's something that the defence is employing or if it just comes about. But it's interesting. It's almost sometimes the better carriers, the more yards you make, it's sometimes easier to get turned over.
And you find they're adapting their body position before the tackle's made. They're already going for the ball. Their mindset's already on the next move, which gives them the head up in terms that you say win the race. They don't have to go obviously travel far, but they've won the battle to the ball, and they're very difficult to dislodge after that.
I'd argue there potentially wasn't even a tackle there. He almost took the ball to ground himself, and then those guys are waiting there and they can just get straight on ball, and then you get isolated from your carrier. From an attacking point of view, what you want there is your guy to latch on. Your mate next to you who knows you're going to carry, latch on, get a bit of leg drive, generate a bit of momentum into that carry, and then makes it difficult for the jackler to get an easy shot on ball.
Yeah, it was Jordan Lanack who pounced on that loose one from Cal Davis. Jordan Lanack, who's about to be replaced as well. Cam Jones poised to come on. There's his opposite man, Rory Brand. Really interesting battle between those two today, Lee.
Yeah, we've mentioned them a few times, and they're feisty characters, the pair of them. But I think they've got big roles in this final as a nine to control the game. They both have a big part to play in terms of the kicking game. I think Rory Brand's been excellent in terms of his service and provided real front football for Watsonians.
And Fergus Pringle is sending for his club captain. Lee Miller fit again and on to try and steer Watsonians to the title. Jason Baggett withdrawn. That's a big call, a big moment and a big game. And Miller straight into the heart of the defensive action because Bulls are on the rampage. Aaron Tate, the winger, is in there. So too is Will Hunt. Watsonians stem the initial cascade of black and pink. Lanack barking the orders, finds Malcolm. Watsonians set up well, but Ayrshire Bulls have so much power, so much dynamism. Tim Brown scoops it out. It was Nimmo who took it on. Malcolm with the pick and jam. Lanack. Now they shift it. Simpson. And for help is McNamara in the line. Lewis Berg, Joe Reynolds up very, very quickly. Back to the forward effort. They've got a man down out of shots. Tim Brown it is, so they're attacking with 14 of the Bulls. Simpson. Not many options outside him, had to go it alone. Lanack, Scott. Lanack. Once more, the Ayrshire Bulls coaches are furious, plays being allowed to continue. They might not be furious much longer. Here's Caven! The championship's deadliest finisher comes up with a massive moment in the final. Ayrshire Bulls attacking a man down, have landed a haymaker.
Great wing play, just lurking in the background and just picking his time to really put the afterburners on and force. He almost forced a little stab kick through here. It was a great play there from Will Hunt to see that the defensive pressure from Watsonians was so intense throughout. They were rushing off the line, which allowed them to win some territory. But there, Will Hunt just seen they were intensely coming up in the line and got some space in behind for Caven to get his 11th try of the season. It's a great finish.
It'd be interesting to see if who made the call there, because like you see, Dale, you could see it coming. Elias was flat. He was. It's a great piece of play. Like, Ayr were so patient in the build-up to that. They had a man down in Tim Brown, but you know, they tried round the corner. They shifted it a bit wider, and it sometimes takes something just a wee bit different to unlock a defence, and we see it there. It's a great piece of play. Will Hunt puts it on the toe, and it bounces up lovely for Elias Caven to kick on for 11 tries for the season.
Conversion just flashes across the face, but it's a 9-point game. It's a 2-score game. Will Hunt's grubber setting up Elias Caven to go clear as top scorer in the tournament. The Ayrshire Bulls are rotating things. They've changed their entire front row while Hunt was lining up that conversion. Alex Maguire, William Thacker, Callum Henderson all on. Andrew Nimmo, James Malcolm, I beg your pardon, Michael Scott all withdrawn. And Jordan Lanak's last act as an Ayrshire Bull was to play a role in that attack as well. So Cam Jones, the former Bridgend Raven, is on at scrum half for him. And Blair McPherson, the skipper, as well, has been forced off. It's a big blow for the Ayrshire Bulls. Gavin Wilson is on, wearing 21 in his stead, but Blair McPherson cutting a disconsolate figure on the bench below us. He may yet be a winning captain. His team wedged in the driver's seat as Thacker barrels ahead. Cam Jones, Jackson was a contracted Glasgow player last season, and with the Bulls on a more permanent basis. Maguire, first choice hooker last year. James Malcolm taking on the mantle more recently. Hunt can't get in behind Guthrie, and he drills it back from whence it came. Lanak, I beg your pardon, is still with us for the time being. He's not happy with that kick, and it's out on the full.
I don't know if he'll be with us much longer. Obviously, he's taken a sore one there, and it looks like his calf. It's not came off how he'd planned, but you can see the intent that the Ayrshire Bulls have come out with in the second half. They've upped the ante again. You felt at the end of the first half, Watsonians were starting to get on top. They were bringing more physicality, and Ayrshire Bulls have retaliated. But Jordan Lanak still in the field of play, just not being able to get his arrows right there from the boot.
Yes, Richie Simpson who's been withdrawn rather than Jordan Lanak, which will spark something of a reshuffle in the Bulls backline. Lanak may in fact be playing further out with Cam Jones in at scrum half. It's Watsonians who need a try, and their need is growing by the minutes. Berg with the carry. Brand. Oh, releases Van Niekerk. Lovely sleight of hand. Just couldn't get it back to Rory Brand. And Tim Brown has snaffled it. Jones back to Hunt. Watsonians will have another line out down in an enticing area of the pitch. William Thacker has taken a sore one for Ayrshire Bulls as well. It's pretty tense just along the gantry from us in that coaching box. William Thacker, who's been on about 60 seconds, pointed to the calf and the hamstring.
We've seen a lot of changes just in the past 5-10 minutes, and it'll be really interesting to see, you know, how that pans out for the rest of the game. You've got guys coming off the bench in a cup final, and do you know, how are they feeling in terms of nerves wise, and they'll want to get their first involvement in the game. And when you have a lot of changes at one time, and it's happening on both teams, on both sides, it can really change the dynamic of a game. So, you know, those guys that can come on and really settle into the game as quickly as possible have a large bearing on, you know, how the rest of the game goes for their team.
Sometimes when they get changed that much, you can see a real deterioration in the standard, but the quality that these two teams have. You know, all these players are coming off the bench looking to make an impact, but Ayrshire Bulls have perhaps been forced into more changes than Watsonians. You know, they're probably a little bit more tactical in terms of the personnel that they've been able to utilise. So, as you say, Lee, it is going to be really interesting to see, because there's a lot of time left in this game.
William Thacker not moving too freely, but he is going to continue for the time being. Watsonians have made a change up front as well, with Gregor Skugel coming on for Bobby Bratton, their try scorer at tight head. Taken by Ball. Main.
No, 6, no!
Brand. Into Beresford. Brand again, challenging that right-hand side. Reynolds cutting through. 5 metres short. Bratton. Courtney stretching, not quite. Brand again. Davis. Watsonians will feel they must capitalise on this field position, on this set of red zone phases. Beresford locks and loads and is held short again.
Penalty advantage.
Penalty advantage. They'll take 5 instead of 3. It's Harrison Courtney. Jacqueline without the ball, scoring tries with it. Watsonians roar back into the final.
It comes from powerful forward play, and it's Harrison Courtney that finishes off, but it was a lovely bit of interplay just on the far side there, and it was between Joey Reynolds and Lee Miller off the bench. It was a lovely just delay the pass from Lee Miller. He's fresh off the bench. It put Joey Reynolds into a hole, which then made the incision. It got the forwards up to within 5 metres, and then Watsonians showing real grit and determination just to carry, to do the basics well, and Harrison Courtney finishes it off. It really brings the scores up a bit closer, and it brings the game to life.
Lee Miller with bags of professional experience. I expect to slot these every time. It's 2 more points for Watsonians, and it's a 2-point final.
Bang on there, Lee, in terms of the interchange over on the far side, and it comes back to what you were saying before about the replacements. Lee Miller, a replacement, a tactical replacement for Watsonians, shown his influence, and then we've got 2 points in it.
Stay on, Air 5.
Which way is this final going to turn next? Momentum changing hands. It seems with every passing phase. Jones to Tim Brown.
No, 7 off feet.
Cam Jones hoists Rory Brand underneath it, one of the smallest men on the pitch, with one commanding catch. Smeaton can't rob him. Here's Reynolds, that trusty left boot is still pretty trusty. McNamara with the riposte. Miller plenty time to choose his option, and that option is to barrel into Wilson.
Off feet, Air, off feet.
Ayrshire Bulls crying for the turnover, they won't get it. And then they're offsides against Rory Brand. So it's a cheap penalty. And one that allows Watsonians to push downfield again.
It's amazing how this game starts swinging. From one minute you see Ayrshire Bulls have got their tails up and they're more physical, and then it sparks a reaction from Watsonians. As soon as they've got that try, they've got their tails up now, and Lee Miller, only had one option when he gathered the ball there in the backfield, was just to try and truck it up. But it's a smart option to go infield, go to where the support is so that you get in secure ball. But just that little bit of ill-discipline coming in from the Bulls there, trying to snaffle at the back of the ruck, caught Rory Brand, and then they concede the penalty, which gives Watsonians a little bit more cheap territory, gets them downfield, and they'll be looking to try and set up another attacking opportunity.
We pause for breath in this breathtaking Super 6 final. Those are the feats attached to Rory Brand, who took a fair old clattering after claiming that high ball so impressively. He's no stranger to silverware himself. Rory Brand won the championship with London Irish and the Premiership Cup in the Exiles' first season back in the English top flights. But that is the end of his final. And on will come Murray Scott, who has performed so well in the season running.
Penalty here, guys. Offside.
And he will certainly bring plenty of tempo, plenty of sniping threat as well. How crucial is this attack? The Watsonians haven't led since that Jason Baggett penalty 50-odd minutes ago.
Yeah, I think just given the time on the clock as well, Jamie, we're approaching the 60-minute mark, and you know there's going to be some key interventions in this time in the game. When the score's so tight, with the momentum swinging a bit towards Watsonians, a line out, and just looking at them getting the drive going here with Cal Davis at the tail.
Jamie Drummond is on for Tim Brown in the Bulls back row, and his first job is to try and stem this red and white tide. Berg, good hit from Smeaton, big leg drive. Laurie Scott, barreling charge from ball. Scott once more, Carl Main this time is next to try and punch a hole in this defence. Miller for Reynolds.
Stay, 23, step.
Courtney, Miller, Main. Bulls defence, the best defence in the league, will be stretched here. McPherson has a shot, and it's a bit loose. Elias Caven couldn't get his toe to it, and it was just knocked on by, I think, by Lewis Berg as he went to fall on it. And that will go down, Dale, as a missed opportunity for Watsonians. A big moment for Ayrshire Bulls to hold them out.
Yeah, good defence from Ayrshire Bulls, which was pretty much forcing them to try that ambitious offload, and that's one of those balls that if it goes to hand, you know, that's an ingenious bit of play, but because it's went loose, it almost put the pressure back on the Watsonians, because we've already seen Ayrshire Bulls fly hack it downfield and try and launch an attack off of some loose open play. But you feel that, going on the back of what Lee said, you feel that Watsonians are starting to, you know, really build into this second half, really starting to find their feet, and their replacements have certainly had an impact so far.
They're gaining momentum in their carries, aren't they? You could see there the one first phase, second phase, third phase, they were just getting that extra metre, which makes all the difference in terms of the attacking shape.
A huge scrum from Watsonians has put the Bulls on the back foot. Smeaton did really well in for McPherson at 8 to remove himself from a difficult situation.
Watch 18 and
Cam Jones, who did some of the pre-season with the Glasgow Warriors this summer, boots it away. McPherson, Loman McPherson that is. Scott, Louis ball. Miller looking for Berg and finding his muscular centre. Dominant collision with Linac. Waka van Niekerk, who has been a very dynamic carrier for Watsonians today. Carl Main cut down by Facker.
Off feet, Black.
Scott, van Niekerk just lost that one forwards, a little untidy. Jordan Linac is down off the ball again for Ayrshire Bulls, gingerly getting back into the visitors' back line. But this is two set of attacking phases that Watsonians have had, and twice the Ayrshire Bulls have had their number. Was that knocked on forwards? No, it wasn't, so Skugel is onside and able to play it. Miller juggles and then chases Cam Jones back towards his own line. And Jones will accept the goal line dropout.
Wasn't a bad option there from Lee Miller, to be fair. You know, it was starting to get a little bit stale after that high ball. You know, it was a difficult one to call in terms of what way it went, but he's just stabbed it downfield. He's got a lucky bounce of the ball as well. They're going to receive the ball back here from a goal line dropout, so really not a bad option.
It's almost like a free counter-attack. A goal line dropout is a tough position for Ayr here. You're almost handing them the ball back with a, you know, with a backfield, with a back three. Lee Miller in there as well, ready to attack back.
Jordan Linac is cramping up, but Ian Kenny is waving play on, so it's 15 against 14 as Guthrie carries. Linac is once more on his feet, once more making a valiant effort to defend. Watsonians come again, 2 points in it, 17 to play. Reynolds against the grain. He's so effective on that line. Jamie Beresford Smeaton with yet another tackle.
Not on ball. Steele's good, first man.
Oh, and Smeaton's stolen it. That's massive from the flanker. And Lanac kicking into the wind, the low trajectory. It's really well worked from the scrum half. Reynolds will start again. Kutzer. This territorial game is going to be so crucial.
Okay, Grant.
Well, that one's a bit too long. McNamara doesn't want the goal line dropout, wants to play. Hunt hammers it into the sky. It's still in play. It's still alive. Loman McPherson up to the 22. Watsonians bludgeoning and buffeting and bullocking their way forwards. The Ayrshiremen holding them at bay. And that is an error that you very seldom see Lee Miller make.
He had a great pick-up just earlier on prior to the goal line dropout where he juggled it and he caught it. And he's been so influential since he's come off the bench now, Lee Miller. Ayrshire Bulls are just hanging into this game. Watsonians, for all money, they've got the possession. You can see how hard it is for Ayrshire Bulls to exit. But you feel that if Watsonians don't score, they don't make use of this possession, make use of the territory, then the game can start to swing away. And the more of these turnovers that Ayrshire keep winning, it'll just give them more and more confidence.
And they're treading the line as well. That was a great turnover from Smeaton, and you've got to remember it's a 2-point game. The discipline from the Ayrshire Bulls has been immense, because Watsonians have been playing a lot their centre field, looking to try and perhaps force the penalty, but Ayrshire Bulls not giving an inch, and Smeaton get himself in a great position to relieve the pressure.
Well, two of the big men heading for the stands, Louis Ball, Kwaka van Niekerk. Big shifts from both, particularly on the carry in those tight exchanges. And on have come Kieran Watt and Neil Irvin Hess at lock and blindside flanker respectively. Ayrshire Bulls have got an issue here as well, because towards the top of your picture, Thomas Glendinning is down receiving treatment. They haven't just used all their backline replacements, they've used all their replacements full stop. You see Glendinning just trotting back into shot now. He's going to try and play on. They can't afford to lose any more. Nobody else to come on.
I was going to say, Lee, you might have to get your boots back on a bit sooner than you thought.
I was quite enjoying retirement so far.
Two shoulders here, both guys. Crouch! Bind! Set!
These are seismic moments in the final. Game hanging in the balance. Smeaton showing pretty good balance to fight his way out of a few tackles. Some Scotland coaches, age grade coaches that is, below us, nodding their approval as Smeaton grappled free. And Jones has hoofed it into the sky, and it's fallen for Bulls' paws once more. And for Henderson. Jones. A bit stationary, Gavin Wilson. Jones, lovely action on the pass to Lanac. And then Hunt, that's a smart kick. That's a very smart kick. 50-22's on here. And he will have the line outs. Guthrie couldn't keep it in. Monster kick from Will Hunt. And in such moments, on such pieces of skill, are trophies won and lost.
Great bit of awareness from Hunt to see that there was space in behind. It wasn't just the awareness, so it's the execution after that. Manages to turn Guthrie. Guthrie thought he was able to just keep it in, but it was a quick flag that went up from the assistant referee, and it's a brilliant bit of play. When they've been under intense pressure, they turn it over.
Yeah, Rue Campbell is the assistant referee monitoring this touchline. I think even if it wasn't out, Angus Guthrie's foot was on the line. So regardless, it's a Bulls throw-in. And it's a good one. It's Bloodworth, the ever-reliable engine room coal shoveler.
Okay. One stop with.
How vital is this passage of play? Jones, Lanac spinning. Watsonians do enough. But their defence will be tested again, although that is a monster hit on Bloodworth. The second row sent back from whence he came. Jones, Jamie Drummond, another Scotland age grade prospect. Another few metres taken Hunt, Lanack probing, and Caven's in again! Ayrshire Bulls' greatest predator comes alive on the greatest stage. Elias Caven hits a dozen tries for the season, right on cue.
I almost said it when he scored his first one. He often tends to score more than one. If he scores one, he scores two. And he's managed to get back on the score sheet. It's a great finish, but just going back to that, the kick by Will Hunt, that's a match-winning effort. For Ayr to be under so much pressure to then turn the tide, to put that kick down into the 22, to then build the platform, and it's great execution. It's a great finish, but it all comes from that. That's a game-winning kick from Will Hunt.
It was a brilliant kick. The execution was brilliant, but I think the accuracy as well and the build-up to the try was as equally as impressive. And Caven, you can see he works hard off his wing. His first try was working hard and lurking in the back. There, he's just holding his width. He's managing just to stretch that Watsonians defence and saying, I'm loitering here, you know I'm a danger, I'm going to spread the field and you're going to have to try and defend me. And good angles are running there from McNamara as well, coming in, just checking the defence, allowing that space for Caven out in the wing.
And Jordan Lanack just manages to draw in Dom Kutra there just enough before he releases it. It's a smart bit of play as well, and that can be underrated at times, but it just puts his winger free, and he's always going to finish that. He's finished all season, and he does well again.
Will Hunt, whose vision and whose boot laid the platform for the score, now has one colossal kick. Nail it, and Watsonians must score twice. Not quite. 7 points the difference. 11 minutes to play. What a finale. What a crescendo. And what an influence from Elias Caven.
17 minutes. Watsonians 17, Ayrshire Bulls 24.
The Ayrshire Bulls need a clean exit from this restart. Smeaton gathered. And Jamie Drummond. It's a good carry. Jones bangs it high. McPherson under it. He takes it well. Campbell Wilson, who's just off the bench for Carol Main, goes in to help. What a counter ruck from the Ayrshire Bulls. And somehow, by hook or by crook, Watsonians get it back.
No eyes, 18! 18!
Miller. Reynolds. They want to get Guthrie into the game, but Guthrie's hands let him down. And that feels very significant.
We do say after, we've said it in this game a couple of times, after scoring or conceding, you don't want to make any errors. Usually they're positional errors in terms of exiting your 22 or, the selection of choice. That's an unforced error from Guthrie, which is really uncharacteristic of him. That's the sort of position that he would gather that ball. He'd be plucking it out the sky and looking to try and test Tate, but he's just not able to gather the ball, get it under his spell and really test Tate on the wing.
And he's had a great game so far as well. It's a psychological win for the Bulls there. An opportunity with 10 minutes to go for Watsonians to get back and gain a bit of territory, but a real psychological win for the Bulls off the back of their score.
Fergus Pringle has taken Joe Reynolds off as well. Oh, that's come Conor Eastgate, a very talented prospect in midfield. The Ayrshire Bulls with that fresh front row, ploughing a furrow through the Watsonians pack. Penalty advantage Bulls. Jones sniping. Another score would surely seal the title. Glendinning to Smeaton, who has been a relentless pest, a thorn in Watsonian side. Wilson. Jones again. Lanack fizzes one out to McNamara, who's lined up by McPherson. And Ian Kenny is going to haul them across. This will eat up more time. This will allow the Bulls to play the game in Watsonians 22.
This is going to be a huge 8 minutes. 7 point. I just in the second half, it's difficult to see, you know, especially over the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, you know, how Watsonians are going to start to put pressure and turn the tide yet again against Ayrshire Bulls, because they're conceding territory. Ayrshire Bulls have been dominant with the ball carries and also in defence, and it's going to be a big ask to try and close this gap.
That scrum penalty just energised. You could see the bench were on their feet. And you could see them with their tails up. The carry off Cam Jones just off the penalty, off the scrum, and then into the next phase. You could just see a real shift in body language from Ayrshire Bulls.
This could be the title right here with 7 minutes to play. But for the third time, Ayrshire Bulls get the line out wrong. A miscommunication, an overthrow, and Carl Davis rescues it for Watsonians. Untidy from Tate. McNamara faced with a red and white wall. Finds some unguarded green pasture. Miller down the tram lines. Where's this heading? Oh, what a kick it could be. Lanack was in touch. It's a 50-22. It is huge from the captain. What a play from Lee Miller.
Completely similar to the one earlier on with Hunt. He's stretched every last blade of grass there, or plastic, but you can see Lanack trying to just tightrope along that tram line, and Rudy Campbell again spots it went out, and that is a, Will Hunt's one was brilliant, but I think that's a step above that as well.
It's a tight call, wasn't it, on the touchline with Jordan Lanack. He did so. I thought he'd done really well to keep it in, but touch judge right there, he's made the call, and Lee Miller, what a kick. We talked about game-changing momentum, and that's one right there, like you say, Dale.
Wow. It's a tense-old finale, this. You can feel the nerves, the anxiety, the angst in the Dam Health Stadium. Just when it looked like Ayrshire Bulls had their foot on the throats of Watsonians, Lee Miller, their skipper, drags them right back into the danger zone. Remember, Ayrshire Bulls have no more replacements to use. There are conversations being had by team management down in front of us to see if anybody's fit enough to go back on. If Richie Simpson was an injury substitution rather than a tactical one, he won't be allowed to return for Jordan Lanack. If it was categorised as a tactical replacement, then Simpson is able to return. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to bring anybody on. Lanack is trying to play on for now. 6.5 to play in the final. Watsonians trundling towards the whitewash. Davis!
Short!
Just short. You can't get any closer than that without scoring. Still they come.
On the line!
That was Courtney that time. Burrowing, almost going beneath the artificial surface.
Line!
Another carry, another massive Bulls tackle.
Got penalty advantage offside.
They've got the penalty should they need it. That's the least they'll have. They want so much more. Beresford knocks it on.
Knock on. Back to the penalty yourself. Offside.
Well, they've got the Bulls on the ropes. The injury-ravaged Bulls
Here's the mark.
clinging on by their fingernails.
Offside yourself.
What a final this is turning out to be.
Oh, they're off and running quickly. The tap is the preferred weapon of choice.
Back foot now.
Gregor Skugel goes in. He has a crack at the line. Still not quite. Davis, the captain.
No hand, 6.
Heading towards the purple posts. Trying to go right through the middle of the ruck.
New advantage.
Another
20,
carry,
offside again.
another infringement, and it's a try for Skugel. What a final! What an ending! The kick will level the scores. Watsonians still alive, still kicking, still scoring.
It's the build-up to where they got to as well. You know, a great option as well to take the quick penalty instead of looking to try and get all the forwards there for a scrum or go for the corner. They've shown ambition, they've shown drive, and they've got the rewards for it in a great position under the sticks. Hopefully that's not to bring any commentators' curse, but that is a very, very smart piece of play from Watsonians there.
Lee Miller slots the kick. As things stand, we're heading for extra time.
I would challenge you to find a more exciting game of rugby this season to be played at Dam Health, because this is a brilliant, brilliant spectacle.
It's just had a bit of everything, hasn't it? And Watsonians just bring themselves right back into this game.
Go.
Is there to be a final act of heroism? A final chapter written? Or are we heading for extra time
On the line.
to decide the Super 6 Championship?
Let's go.
The way this is going, we could end up with a drop goal contest to decide it. It's a real pressure cooker environment now. No more so than for Alex Maguire, who missed with his last throw, but nails this one.
Stay. Okay.
3 minutes left on the clock. Have the Ayrshire Bulls got one last effort in them in normal time?
Okay. Let's use now, guys.
Jamie Beresford has disrupted that well, so Maguire barrels into Wilson on his own.
Stay. Use 9.
Jones, Smeaton calls for it, gets it, does well again.
Roll 20.
Here's Hunt. Linac still running, still making passes. Aaron Tate smashes into Berg. Very upright collision between those two. No quarter asked and certainly none given. Facker is next to charge.
Use 9.
Now Jones is going to stick it up. Put pressure on Don Coetzer. Tate bearing down on him. And Tate has it! Here come the Bulls.
Balls lifted, play.
The roar of the huge Ayrshire contingents. It's Calvin Henderson, held by Beresford.
Tackle, fine, release. Back foot.
Slow ball for Jones. Time ticking away. And the ball stripped clear. And it's Watsonians who look to have pilfered it. The Bulls counter-rucking furiously. And it's an Ayrshire Bulls scrum. 90 seconds left. The Bulls have a shot to win it.
The box kick up this touchline by Cam Jones on the money. It's so
Time off.
competitive.
Time off.
Tate's able just to, it's Dom Coetzer against Tate, and it's a real competition. He manages to get it back. You know, that goes too long. It's an easy win for Watsonians. They then clear. But the fact that that box kick's on the money, you know, especially given the conditions, is awesome.
I think the thing there as well is the fact that it was, you know, it was on the money, and you can see this game is so tight. It's 24 points all. We've got a minute left to play. They're only separated in the league table by bonus points. That's it. And you can see there, even Coetzer gets up. It looks like he's secured the ball, and Tate just rips it out of his grasp. And that is, you know, this game has such fine margins between each and every single player in the park, and that epitomises how close this game has been.
It's an important one. It's an important one. Time up.
An entire season,
Straight, both sides.
months of graft, of sweat, of toil, and at times of torment. boil down to this scrummage. This final minute of the final match of the season. The Ayrshire Bulls have Watsonians where they want them. They're crying for that penalty. They're not getting it. And Watsonians have it back through Irvin Hess. And now they can counter. Guthrie against Tates, spearing over halfway. This final is bonkers. You can't take your eyes off it. McNamara catches out Murray Scott. And Ayrshire Bulls, well, they have it, now they lose it. Somehow the ball's still in the field of play. 20 seconds of the 80 minutes left.
Not on ball.
Watsonians, from defending a scrum on their 22, have the ball in the Bulls' half. It's frenetic stuff. It's a final fit for any competition. And it's Watsonians now with the Edinburgh gusts in their sails as Miller and Berg charge on. Scott to Kieran Watts. One mistake, one error, and it's all over. Here's Irvin Hess, a mighty presence off the bench. There are supporters with hands over eyes, with heads on hands, unable to watch these last throws.
Back foot.
There are players out on their feet in both sets of teams.
Back foot.
Scott, Cecil,
Roll, Black.
Bulls calling for more defenders off to their left. The dusty ball from Scott, but Eastgate scoops it up. Jackson clings onto his jersey. A minute beyond the 80 now. Slower this time. Cal Davis dummies and steals a few metres. And somehow it's found its way to Cecil. Watsonians hammering at the door.
Stay back foot.
It is utterly breathless. Miller for the drop goal. It was hurried, it's ricocheted. It's come back from McPherson, way behind the gain line, but looking for supports and throwing it forwards.
Come forward.
The drop goal from Miller
Forward.
was the moment to win it.
Game's over, yeah?
Ian Kenny confirming the 80 minutes have come and gone. These two have been nip and tuck for 32 matches, and they've been nip and tuck in the final. 80 minutes of frenetic Super 6 rugby has been unable to produce a winner. That was the moment for Lee Miller to make himself a hero. He may yet have another opportunity. What a final we've had, and it's not done yet. Don't go anywhere, because extra time coming next. Full time at the Damhill Stadium. It's 24 points apiece. Have you caught your breath yet? Because we haven't on the commentary gantry, and nor has anybody else inside the Dam Health Stadium. Extra time required to decide the Super 6 champions. 10 minutes a half. If the scores are still all square, we'll enter another golden point period where the first team to score will win. As Loman McPherson fumbles the restart. But this is beyond, I think, what anybody was expecting today. For all that these teams have been so close throughout the season, for all that they've won 10 of their 11 matches apiece, only losing to each other, and on home soil to boot. Extra time is quite the finale. And Dale, it looks particularly tough for the Ayrshire Bulls to be playing 20 more minutes of rugby. They were forced into so many early subs, so many injuries.
Yeah, you know, losing their centre pairing after 40 minutes was a difficult one, but even the running repairs to Lanak's looking like he's having to really go to the well to keep going in this game. But I think the character of the Ayrshire Bulls has kept them in this fight, and it's the resilience and being able to win games. You know, they've got that experience. It's certainly helping them.
Well, Watsonians have pilfered this ball back, and then they've knocked it on the ground.
Release, Watsons!
Almost starting extra time with prime field position. Lanak. It's a long testing kick. Loman McPherson, the way to the ball, carried him back an extra 10 yards. Off he goes. A former Dumbarton youth footballer, plenty gas left in his tank. Scott Davis. There was a high shot on Loman McPherson, so Watsonians have a penalty advantage. Kieran Watt. And then taken on by Beresford. He's been really impressive since forcing his way into this Watsonians 15. There's this heading. Irvin Hess can't grab it. The Watsonians do have that penalty.
I think there's going to be such a big factor, you know, in this last 20 minutes is how the players hang on. You've mentioned it both there, but just in terms of fitness, in terms of these two teams have generally kept their players, you know, on the field throughout the season, and that's part of why they're in the final. You know, the other teams have sometimes struggled with their injury. These guys have, you know, they've got everyone here to the final, and can they keep standing in the last 20 minutes? It's going to come down to, you know, if they can keep going. I mean, we managed to squeeze a few wine gums in just there. I mean, I don't know if the players managed to get anything on board, but it's going to have a massive part to play.
Well, wine gums, the energy, sugary snack of choice for players heading into extra time.
I think when you're facing 20 minutes after 80, I don't think it matters what you get in there. But yeah.
It's Louis Ball who claims, and Cal Davis comes motoring off. He continues to pierce the Ayrshire Bulls armour. Courtney. Whatever happens, we will play the full 20 minutes. There's no golden point yet, so it doesn't matter who scores first. It just matters what the scoreline is after 20. Smeaton. He was unlucky there. He looked to have nicked that back. It is a Watsonian scrum. How impressed have you been with Archie Smeaton today, boys? He's been outstanding around those breakdown areas. Yeah,
he played in the middle row last weekend in the semi-final one, obviously slotting into the back row, but he's a menace. He's, you know, an old-fashioned burly back row player, likes to truck it up, but he can get himself in really good positions over the ball, and he's had another good game this evening.
He's carried well, but he also does his defensive duties. Like, that's a kind of, you know, that's what he's bringing to the game. He's physical, he's robust, but then I think within this final he's carried, and you can notice him. He's making extra meters. He almost got the turnover there. He's been so noticeable for a back row player, and he's really playing on form at the moment.
What a position this is for Watsonians. Can they make it count? Can they find that clinical edge? Murray Scott Miller, Lewis Berg, trademark Berg, under the sticks he goes. Watsonians with a rip-roaring start to extra time as Lewis Berg ploughs a huge furrow through the Bulls' defence.
The beauty about that is the options that they've got off the back of that scrum. Centre field, such an attractive position. Scott finds Lee Miller, and you can see there he's got two options. He's got Coates, who's got a hole there, and he's got Berg on the cut as well. And because the defence is coming across, he is a difficult man to try and defend at that angle.
It's such a difficult place to defend, and you just notice Lewis Berg there. He carries into the space, but then he gets himself back out, and it's textbook, you know, the way to run a cut. And he looks like he's got plenty of energy left in his legs.
Stolen a couple of our Wingdoms.
Lee Miller adds the 2. Watsonians lead by 7.
Come on.
A quarter of the way through this extra time period. We were not terribly short of midfield options in Scotland at either pro team. Is Lewis Berg worth a look for a pro contract?
Do you know, he was outstanding in the sprint competition. Really stand out.
Well, hang on a minute, because Neil Irvin Hess is often galloping over halfway. A superb carry from the replacements. Here's Cecil, and the Ayrshire Bulls were offside. A lazy runner spotted by Ian Kenny. Miller, space in behind Caven, looking for the bounce, finding it. They can have another shot with no pressure and with the guarantee that his side will throw into the line out. Sorry, Lee, Lewis Berg, you were saying.
Yeah, he had an outstanding sprint competition, and he's just carried that form into this championship season. He's just does his job so well, and he's a physical guy for a 13. He runs hard, he's hard to put down, and he's operating in a really effective backline for Watsonians. You know, so in terms of going further in the game, he's got all the attributes, and if he continues on the same path, then who knows where he might end up.
It does help being outside somebody like Lee Miller as well, a guy with an abundance of experience. But you can see there, just from that score, the positive reaction from Watsonians. Neil Irvin Hess showing all the skills that he's been able to exhibit on 7 circuits over the years as well, from his time with Melrose. Just getting Watsonians in an attractive position, getting the penalty, and again, they're now attacking.
If there's anything you can give to energise your team, it's going to count in this. And see, a line break there by Neil Irvin Hess, his teammates are then energised, and you see the next couple of phases they're energised, and that's how it's going to come to win the match.
Another try here. Massive for Watsonians. They're heading in the right direction. Cal Davis piercing off on his own. It's Davis for the try! Everybody in red and white knows how important that is. Watsonians with one hand on the trophy now.
2 times this season, Ayr and Watsonians have played. Ayr have struggled to get past 24 points. Both times it's been 24, but if you could gift a try to one player, it'd be Cal Davis. He's only missed 1 Super 6 game since its launch, and that was just to be rested and gets over the line for a score. And Watsonians have come out of this, you know, the first half of extra time, all guns blazing. He
was instrumental in the semi-final as well, and he's just led the team so well, and you can see his influence there, and he's well deserved of his score. You wonder now if 2 scores that's a tough comeback, given there's only 11 minutes left in this extra time period. It's a tough comeback for the Bulls.
It's amazing to say when they were 7 points down, thinking where are they going to get the scores from, and all of a sudden, you know, Ayrshire Bulls against the ropes, and Watsonians definitely in the ascendancy.
Lee Miller to take the gap to 14 points. Forced Bulls to score 2 converted tries to keep the final alive. It's off the post. What else can this final possibly throw at us? 12 points the difference. final minute of the first half of extra time. The Bulls need 2 tries to pull this from the fire. And Watsonians don't let the restart on the full. They allow it to bounce. And when McPherson brings it away, just want to see out the last few seconds of the half. Beresford.
No, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Use. 3, 2, yes.
Time is up. Murray Scott bangs it into touch. And that was an excellent first half period from Watsonians. A quick fire double, 2 tries in 3 extra time minutes.
1 minute.
And they're within 10
1 minute.
of wresting the trophy away from Ayrshire Bulls.
1 minute.
Watsonians arguably go with the elements in their favour going into the second half as well. They've really battled there. The line break from deep really helped them gain a bit of field position, and then to score off the back of that's put a real dagger into the Ayrshire Bulls.
You see that because it was obviously the first try when you come out in extra time, got their a bit more confidence and energy, as you say, into the team. But that run from Neil Irvin Hess, the penalty then from Lee Milton, it's 2 simple little bits of action in a game of rugby allow that platform for Davis to get that score. And that's how we've been saying how they find that these games and these teams are so close, and it's 2 little elements like that show that when you let another team, like a team with the quality of Watsonians in, they can strike just when they want to, and certainly it's advantage Watsonians now. Yeah,
and given the time in the match, and these players they've put everything into 80 minutes, and Bulls have obviously had their injury issues throughout the game. That starts to tell. If that period of play happens in the first 5 minutes of the game, it probably doesn't have as big a bearing on the match. But when you go into extra time and your opposition are out on their feet, it can really count.
To play. The Bulls have a mountain to climb, a mountain of Himalayan proportions. Neil Irvin Hess makes another telling carry from the restart. The Bulls need the ball. Watsonians 10 minutes to steer themselves to victory. Eastgate, big left boot. Hunt's good take in the blustery conditions.
Don't advance. Stop.
He lands it back on Eastgate. And up it goes again. Tremendous height in that kick. McNamara couldn't take it on the full. Nor could Linac. Eastgate has it. Fighting with McNamara. Into touch he goes. But it's a Watsonian scrum. And that pressure is unrelenting.
Eastgate, he's had a good impact since he came off the bench, and some height he gets on his, his up and unders. They're almost shown up in the flight radar. They were so high and make it so difficult for, the backfield Ayrshire Bulls to try and, defend it. And great there because it's the, they just let it bounce because it's a little bit of confidence, and then it's a little bit of just being caught a little bit unawares with the wind.
And when you're on the back foot, you're more prone to be hesitant. There's hesitation between a couple of players. You get a bouncing ball. Watsonians are on the front foot and they win it back.
Another 90 seconds have been swallowed up. 90 seconds closer to glory for Watsonians. Well, they won't mind scrum resets either. Every delay while the clock is running is a friend to the Myerside men right now.
Okay, hold your waist so the ball comes in. Thank you very much.
Irvin Hess for Scott. Guthrie charging through. Smeaton with the tackle. The ball's loose. Ayrshire Bulls have it. Cam Jones whips it away. This is the man they want on the ball. It's Elias Caven, and he goes battering up to halfway, and then the pass doesn't go to hand. And if it had, the Bulls were in, and another grandstand finale beckons. So close. Such fine margins. Such brilliance from Elias Caven goes unrewarded.
You feel the Bulls are going to need something like that from a player of Caven's ilk to really spark themselves back into this game, and even just that offload, if he's able just to get that to stick, they've then on the front foot. Watsonians are scrambling in defence, and they can then start to put a little bit of pressure on. But you know, just the little bounce of the ball, the energy that comes out of your your confidence as well. It's just unlucky, but a great break from Elias Caven as well. I think as soon as he got the ball, he's probably sniffing a hat-trick, I'd imagine. But you know, selflessly offloading the ball, just never stuck.
You feel like this score, if it does happen, it needs to come early within the second half of 10 minutes. If it had happened there, then it totally changes the complexion of this game. But the longer that clock keeps ticking, the more Watsonians will grow in confidence. They know they're 2 scores ahead. It's
the scrum alone has taken up another minute. We're almost halfway through second half extra time. Watsonians inches from victory. And most importantly, they have the ball. The scrum disintegrates. Irvin Hess takes matters into his own hands. Scott. Kieran Watt. Smeaton with yet another tackle. He must have made about 50 today. Miller playing the territory game, asking Caven to cover. Caven does cover, and off he goes. There's his aerial riposte, dropping on McPherson, who fumbles it, and then it has gone forwards, and that's a penalty because Kieran Watt's offside. The Bulls are not done yet.
Knock on, your offside.
They need to get this into the corner quickly.
Elias Caven's doing his best to wrestle this back for the Bulls. A great up and under. The timing of it, he was able to get under the ball to then put Loman McPherson under pressure, and then it eventually wins his team a penalty.
It's great to hear it. This, you know, it's Super 6. The product here is brilliant, but it's great to hear the crowd. As soon as Caven gets the ball in hand, you can hear the expectation rise and that little bit of noise, and it's such good, like amazing to hear, because they know how exciting a player he is.
Two scores needed for the Ayrshire Bulls, and they need them quickly, and they're going to their banker, to the maul that has yielded so many metres, so many points for them this season. They're taking Watsonians up front. They're fighting to the last. Beresford got in there to repel the pack. Cam Jones to Gavin Wilson. Campbell Wilson over it, couldn't nick it back. Hunt, Glendinning breaks a tackle. Watsonians drag him down.
Guys, the ball's there.
Jones, Maguire.
Off feet one.
Jones again. Bloodworth is next to carry. Still the Bulls come. Still they press. Still they believe. They have to believe that this game is not beyond them. McNamara swivelling those hips.
Tackle, release.
Lee Miller clinging onto him like a limpet. Gavin Wilson. The crowd playing a part now as well as Cecil stops Wilson in his tracks. Jones, Maguire, good hit from Campbell Wilson. Picked up by Thacker though. Courtney wanted the penalty, didn't get it. Bloodworth loses it. And surely now, that's the final. That's the title. And as we pause for breath, Lee Jones, it is time for you to anoint your FOSROC man of the match. No shortage of contenders out there.
Oh, it's been a tough one, you know, and it's to and fro, just like the game. It looked like Bulls were in the driving seat. Elias Caven had a great game for them. There was numerous guys across the park that could have picked up this award. You know, we've gone Cal Davis. He's led his team so well throughout the season, not only throughout the season but throughout this final. He's still on the field, having played 80 minutes, having added on 20 minutes of extra time, and he's managed to come up with a score that has arguably won the game for Watsonians. So Cal Davis, man of the match.
I think the big thing from that is Cal Davis is still on the field. He's played, you know, almost 100 minutes of rugby, just about, in a front row, in an intense scrum, in a game that has been so physical. And the fact that he's still out there and putting in the energy levels and the performance levels that he's been producing, getting a try as well, is remarkable. I think he's been such a, you know, he's not been an unsung hero, because people do say how much of an influence he is to Watsonians, but definitely in this game it's shown.
Boys! 6! In 9 in.
Watsonians know the title is all but theirs. Lee Miller sends Ayrshire Bulls scurrying back downfield. Aaron Tate has to do something incredible from here. Possible high shot from corner Eastgate. 90 seconds left. It feels like it's beyond the Bulls at this stage. They need to score right now to stand any chance of keeping the final alive. Here they come though. Wilson intercepted. Lee Miller stabs the kick in behind Caven. Who's going to win the race? It's brilliantly covered in the end by the Ayrshire Bulls, backtracking. With a minute to go, 12 points down, they're on their own line. Maguire. It's Henderson, it's a forlorn carry. With time almost up, Jamie Drummond, all on his own, trying to goose step beyond 3 players. Lanack has to kick, has to do something with no options in front of him. And Guthrie sees it into touch. And we're almost there. Watsonians just about home and hosed.
How instrumental has Lee Miller been since he's come off the bench? He's had some telling contributions, mostly with his kicking game, but just the, you know, how smart there he picks up the turnover. He knows there's probably someone on his back. He puts it on the toe. It then turns the Bulls, and you know, we're 100 minutes into a match, but he's still got the wherewithal to you know, to be smart, to put them in the right area, and he's had a huge impact coming off the bench as a leader.
One stop.
Time is up. The fans know it. The replacements know it. Watsonians know it. But Lewis Berg isn't done there. He wants more tries. They're not content to kick it out. They want to trample the Bulls into the damn health dirt.
Let it come, Watson.
But it's the Bulls who've won the turnover. And it's they who will try to have one last hurrah from 95 metres. Jordan Lanack, who's soldiered on, still out there despite his injury. Watsonians players are poised to come tearing onto the field as soon as this ball goes dead. Lanack, the cross-fielder. Loman McPherson has it. Loman McPherson to ice the kick. Not quite, but it is Campbell Wilson who rounds off the title. Wonderful Watsonians have won the Super 6. an incredible end to a truly incredible final. 100 minutes of rugby to separate the big two, and this is the try that finishes it off.
100 minutes of intense top-level rugby, and that tackle there from Will Hunt was brilliant to stop McPherson going in for a score, but it was just prolonging the inevitable because Campbell Wilson was there in support, and you think that the Bulls there can't cover the field. They're down on their feet, but it's just the last.
Lee Miller has banged over the kick nonchalantly, drop goal style. No need to mess around with a kicking tee. No need to delay these celebrations any longer. And they are lovely, warm scenes for the men in red and white. The capital city's finest have outgunned the defending champions. They've unseated the mighty Bulls of Ayrshire, and they've won the Super 6. Full time, after extra time. Watsonians 43, Ayrshire Bulls 24. And Fergus Pringle can take the acclaim and revel in the joy of his players and staff. It's been a long and winding season, but the Sprint Series winners are now the Super 6 winners. And Cal Davis has some post-match media to conduct after his player of the match performance. Lee, how impressed have you been with this Watsonians team? Because you'll have seen it in 7s and in 15s, the ebbs and flows of a final, the emotional pendulum swings within a game must be so hard to manage.
Yeah, and you come into a final, it's different, isn't it? There's a different edge to the game, there's a different approach, and Bulls, having been here last year and many times before, you know, almost had that experience, but Watsonians, off the back of winning the Sprint Series and then coming in here, you know, they were the two dominant teams in Super 6 this season. What an advert it's been, this final, for the game. And Watsonians, as you say, coming out on top, it's just deserved. And the scoreline, 43-24, it probably doesn't, you know, at a glance, it doesn't reflect what we've actually seen in terms of how close this game's been, what the moments that it's come down to. And credit to Watsonians for, you know, I feel like they've just won those little moments at the right time. They've gained momentum at the right time, and they're deserved champions.
Dale, you've covered this tournament from start to finish. You commentated on the Sprint Series as well as the prelude to the big dance. What a final we've had. A fitting final to end this drama-laden tournament.
Yeah, I thought last weekend when we got the two top teams in the final, I thought that was, you know, maybe justice, and it was going to be a good final, but I could never have expected anything like that. The level of rugby that we witnessed there was unbelievable. It was top class, it was intense. You could see how much it meant to the players, and I think this Watsonians team have built off a successful Sprint Series into what has been a very consistent championship season as well. They've got a good depth in their squad, a good balance in their play, and I think on the balance, even you know, you played that yesterday, that could be a different result. There's been injuries, there's been different moments in the game, but I think on the balance of the play, I think Watsonians, rightfully so, I think are deserved champions.
The Watsonians players given their winners' medals in preparation to hoist the trophy. The Ayrshire Bulls can only look on, can only reflect on what they've achieved so far this season, and ultimately what might have been, perhaps had they not suffered those early injuries, perhaps had they made the most of an attacking field position in key moments. Perhaps the toughest question of all to answer. And Pat MacArthur with the tough job of rousing his troops. But today it is all about Watsonians. It is all about Edinburgh's premier Super 6 team. As Cal Davis and Lee Miller, the starting captain Davis, the club captain Miller, they've won the Sprint Series, and now Watsonians have won the lot. Champions in 2022. A Myerside double. A delightful double. And how fitting that Cal Davis, who's led them from start to finish, should have his paws on the trophy at the end after a man of the match display. Unbeaten in the Super 6 Sprint Series. Their only defeats in the championship proper coming at Millbrae, and they have avenged that in emphatic fashion after a colossal 100 minutes of Super 6 finals rugby. A final fit to grace any competition, and Watsonians have prevailed. What a moment for the team from Myerside, for all connected with Watsonians Rugby. They have their hands on the trophy. What a precious win, and what a final.
What an extraordinary end to a wonderful final and an incredible season. Despite Ayrshire Bulls being at their snarling best today, it's Watsonians who pick up the trophy, and well deserved as well. Their second half performance and performance in the extra time was unbelievable. The Bulls were good, Watsonians were better. From all of us here on Free Sports, thank you so much for your company during this incredible FOSROC Super 6 Championship season. From all of us here, thank you so much for your company. Bye for now.